It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Josias. Yes, that's right. He's in the building. He'll be talking about how to achieve your goals and dreams. Is that even possible? We'll find out. What's going on, Josias? How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks a lot for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. You know, first thing on my mind is always, execute goals and dreams. Why are people struggling these days? I mean, sounds like they have something they want. They would want to go after it. What's holding people back today? And I know it's a loaded question from really achieving their goals and dreams.
That's a very good question, Shay. I truly think the #1 thing that's holding people back is their belief in themselves. Faith is the lack of motivation, lack of drive. And I think also it's because there's lots of going on in the world right now. And if we're not focused on our goals and our dreams, we'll let what's happening in the world impact where we're going and who we're connected to, and also the mindset that we do have as individuals. I always tell people this all the time. What are you speaking over your life? What are you attracted to? Who are you connected to? Because those three things will play a factor on how far you go when it comes to your goals and your dreams.
Our goals, do we need to write those? I know it's a silly question. People say write them down, so I buy into that. But what's the difference myself? I like to use my app to do my goals. What's the difference between goals and dreams? Now, yeah, I know it's going to sound crazy because it sounds like a dream is so far away, but the goal is something I can do today, but that's a shayism. I don't know if that's true or not. So what's the difference between goals and dreams? What's your view of the world?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would definitely say yes, write it down. No, they say if you write it down, make it plain, it becomes clearer to you. A goal will be something that you want to do set within the next. For myself, I always say if I put a goal, my goal is, hey, I want to go ahead and do X, Y, and Z by this certain time frame, and then I'm gonna write that thing down. A dream is, hey, on my 5-year plan, 10-year plan, this is what I see myself doing. A dream is a vision. Without vision, people will perish. So where do you see yourself in years ahead? And what the goal does is the goal will have you do baby steps to get to that big dream that you do have for yourself and for your life.
So what do you say to the person that's watching right now and saying, okay, I can write goals down all day long. In fact, I still got my New Year's resolutions written down, Josiah, but I'm having a hard time sticking to doing it. Now, do you get into that? Do you have, here's the question. Do you have 1, 2, or 3 suggestions to the person that's always writing it down? They're always getting ready to get ready, but they don't ever do anything. What would you say to that person that's listening and watching right now saying, yeah, I wrote them down, but I got to get going?
Man, for that person, have yourself an accountability partner. Tell that person, hey, I want you to hold me accountable in this way, this form, and this fashion. Because it's not just enough to write that goal down, write that dream down on paper, but you need someone who will push you and motivate you. Because if we could be honest, there's times in life where you could be self-discouraged. We could be discouraging. We could discourage ourselves in this process, this journey, especially if the weight of life gets heavy and it gets hard. So having an accountability partner, having them hold you accountable without being mad. Because, for myself, the reason why I got to where I'm at today is because I have people in my life who I told, hey, I want you to hold me accountable in this process. This is my goals. These are my dreams. I want to achieve this in this certain time frame. Can you help me? And I tell them how I want them to show up for me. So I don't get mad if they show up how I want them to show up for me. The second thing you have to ask yourself is, what are your distractions that's around you that's holding you back from elevating? If you're not breaking down the distractions, you'll never execute. So you have to identify what are those things that's happening in your life right now that are being the distraction for you to elevate to where your goals are, your dreams are. Cut those off. If it doesn't bring you value, cut it off. If it's not bringing life into you, cut it off. Because those things you're holding on to are distractions to you could be the very thing that's holding you back to your next level.
I love it. And as you was talking, everyone hasn't read your bio, man. They're hearing you saying, well, Shay, he's putting this out there. His life must be perfect. Who is this person that's trying to tell us to do all these wonderful things? And so let's slow down for a moment if we can. We do want to achieve our goals. We do want to achieve our dreams. I believe we have good folks that are listening and are watching right now. They're curious, Shay, have him talk about his backstory. So you know the question, who are you? What's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now, man? We want to know.
Yeah, my name is Josias Jean-Pierre. I was born in the Caribbean in the country of Haiti, island of Haiti, but I grew up here in Washington State in the city of SeaTac, Washington. I am an execution coach. What I do is I help people be empowered to be equipped with the tools that they need so they can elevate fully into whom God created them to be. It hasn't always been this vision of mine, but at 13 years old, I had this vision 18 years ago that I'm called for the stages of speaking, and I'm called to write books, impact lives throughout the nation and throughout the country. Today, I am doing just that. I am not just a speaker. I am an award-winning motivational speaker, award-winning international speaker. Have written 8 books. I am a multiple award-winning Amazon bestseller. I am the author of the year out of South Africa. I've been featured in major national magazines, also international magazines. I made it to the front cover of the Success to Success International magazine. I have been featured with Yahoo Finance, recognized as one of the top 10 inspirational African Americans of 2021 with Ice Cube. I have been featured before I turned 31 with Ariana Grande and Lil Nas X in 30 Under 30 with LA Wire, where I was featured with them as people making impact who's 30 under 30. I have been featured on Blk Men Magazine, CEO Weekly, Heart of Hollywood, and major much more platforms out there and articles out there for my impact doing in this world. And it's all started because of a vision. My first 13 years of my life, I was in and out of the hospital bed fighting this fight of epilepsy. I had people in my life tell me, Josias, your goal of becoming a speaker and a writer will never happen for you. Stop believing that. I was in the hospital so much as if the hospital was my second home because of epilepsy. Week by week, year by year, I had to suffer this fight of epilepsy, going to hospital back and forth. And me growing up with this epilepsy, being in the hospital over and over again, people seeing the setbacks in my life. Well, Josiah stutters. He could barely enunciate his words. He's in special education. He has an IEP. He's in normal classes with another teacher in the classroom. He is slow. He has no diction. What makes this man think that he could become someone of influence? Look at him. People have seen the setbacks of my life and said, this is why it cannot happen. And at 13 years old, I remember 2006, October 2006, at 13 years old, my family and I went to a King Buffet restaurant in a city called Burien, Washington. After we were done eating, I had a seizure. After that seizure, I had to get rushed to the children's hospital because I was still a minor. Get rushed to the children's hospital, and the doctors gave a report telling my family that, hey, if I ever want to become seizure free, I have to have open head surgery. I'm a preacher's kid. My dad is a pastor, and my parents are people of faith who stays in the faith, praying the faith. They never allowed how things look to determine the final outcome of the life of their children. When the doctor said, if I ever want to become seizure free, I need to have open head surgery, I could recall a loud voice in the hospital bed telling me I am delivered. And I chose to believe that the voice that I heard in the hospital was God's voice. At 13 years old. At 13 years old in the hospital bed, I was given a vision of me being a keynote speaker at a major conference at 13 years old. And I just choose to believe what I saw. At 17 years old was a kickoff of me going to public speaking. I was one of 4 young keynote speakers speaking at the Allstars conference in Kansas City, Missouri. And Allstars stands for American School Health Association. I was one of 4 young speakers speaking at this conference on disparities in education in front of teachers, lawyers, educators, professionals, and around how to bridge the disparities in education. I'm sharing to say this with you. It didn't happen overnight. There were some trials, some storms, tribulations I had to encounter in my life to lead to this moment in this time frame. And today, what I do is I go down the elevator and I educate the same people who have disabilities, who believe they have no purpose, who believe they cannot manifest to their full potential, showing them if I can do it, you can do it. And I tell people all the time, when you breathe in, that's potential. And when you breathe out, that's purpose. You're not an accident. And as someone as myself who has been going down the elevator, been featured in major platforms, major articles, and making impact on the stage through writing and speaking, I could tell you that if you really want to manifest your goals and your dreams and your vision, if you got to be, like Les Brown will say, you got to be hungry. If you're hungry for it, you got to be committed to these 5 things. 1, changing your words. Change your words, you could change your world. 2, change your circle. What type of people do you want in your life? You are what you attract. If you don't like what you're attracting to your circle, you got to change who you are. 3, change your perspective of you. What does that mean? A lot of times it is easier to think of the negative. It is easier to think about what you cannot do. But start thinking about what can you really do. Start thinking about that self-identity. Do some self-work, some self-identity work to figure out who are you and what does it mean to be you, and what's your calling in this world, because that very thing that is ticking inside of you is your actual purpose to keep on doing what you got to do. Number 4, have people in your life who will hold you down, who will hold you accountable to the very thing you say you want to see manifest and grow. And number 5, do not avoid real hard conversations. And I think right now we're living in a world where we don't want to have real talk. We don't want to have real conversations. We just want to have message that makes us feel good. And to be honest with you, a feeling good message is not just any change. A feeling good message will make you leave the same way you came in. We need to start having real hard messages that will bring conviction to the soul, because then at that moment of time, that will become the fuel to say, I got to put my feet on the gas, press the gas, and let's get going to the next level.
So well said, man. I hear the passion coming out. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
What I enjoy the most about what I do these days is this: hearing stories of people who say, man, Josias, thank you. Thank you so much for being transparent. Thank you for being vulnerable. And seeing people's goals turn into action. Seeing people's vision turn into and manifest into action. And seeing people manifest into their full potential. Because I got to a place of saying, hey, if I want to see people win and flourish and grow, I have to be a part of a solution. And what is the problem? The problem is we don't have real conversations. We don't have real hard conversations. We want to avoid the hard conversations. We want to avoid the real talk. And having real talk, it will lead to real change. And another thing I enjoy is this: seeing people sharing their testimony on how they had an encounter and they took the steps that I told them to take, and now they're walking to their full potential, and they're walking into their vision, to their goals, and they're protecting not just their peace but also their energy.
Man, I love it, man. Thanks for being so open, so transparent. You have wonderful parents, man. I'm glad you're sitting on the other side helping us not only achieve our goals, but reach our dreams, which is a whole nother level. I think it's a good segue, by the way, to a segment that we have here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what I'm about to do. You can go ahead and say those magical words with me. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you. And for all the other folks who are tuning in for the very first time, today is my January 1st. Well, it's our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is back there, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Josias on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was a setback you had in your life? A challenge,
Man,
and how were you able to overcome it, man?
my January 1st, I'll say when I hear that, it means what was your reset for you? That made you do a restart. And what did you have to let go to start something new? And my January 1st, to be honest with you, was 8 months ago in my divorce. Nobody ever thinks to get married and get divorced. But being divorced was my January 1st because it pushed me to this moment. It elevated me to this moment. It refocused my vision in this moment. There were things that I realized I couldn't compromise. And the things that I realized that I couldn't really keep on holding on to. Because to be honest with you, 8 months ago, I was at 290. Stress, overwhelmed. They talk about men, speak about your hurt, speak about your pain. To be honest, I was in a marriage where I didn't know how to speak about my hurt and my pain because it was going one ear out the other. Today, 8 months later, I'm at 245. I am the best version of myself than ever before because
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And because of my peace, and I realized 8 months ago that there's some things I just cannot compromise. When it comes to my morals, my values, who I am, and the integral of who I am, I can't compromise that. And what I thought would break me, make me. What I thought would, they say what the devil meant for evil, God turned around for the good. And I can say this divorce, God turned it around for the good. God, I tell people all the time, I dodged a big bullet. And the tears that I shared are not tears of sorrows and pain, it's tears of joy, where all I could say was, God, thank you for exposing what needs to be exposed for me to be in this moment where I'm at today, to realize that if we're not equally yoked, we can't be together. And that moment 8 months ago, and it's powerful to say eight because when you think of the number eight, it means new beginnings. So I'm actually happy you asked about your January 1st because this year makes it 8 years of being an author. 8 months ago is 8 months of me being divorced. 8 months
Wow.
later, I'm walking to the best version of myself and I'm doing impact work and driven work. And what happened 8 months ago, I call it my January 1st moment because it put another fuel inside of me and a fire inside of me and a hunger inside of me to go after it more and more and more. So my journey first started 8 months ago. And for it to be 8 years in authorship ministry and the eight means new beginnings, I am starting with a new beginning, a new chapter of not just being at whole, but being at peace. At the same time, being the healthy version of myself. Because there was a point in time for a good straight 8 months that I was trying to, neglect self, neglect morals and values, and it brought more stress and brought a burden to where I was hurting myself. And one thing about misery is you can't really see you're in the misery until you're out of the misery. You can't really see how much a mess you are in until you're out of the mess. And one thing I can say about the January 1st moment is the mess that I was in turned into a message. The test that I was in turned into a testimony. And the miseries that I was in turned into a ministry.
I love it, man. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. Congratulations, by the way. Looking happy. It look like you're on the right track over there. I love that, man. Take a moment, if you can, for those folks that are watching. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I frame it that you might have had a lot of mentors along this journey of life, by the way. If you had to reach out and say, here's something I learned from somebody or a mentor that I've adopted in my life that I want to pass on to those folks that are listening, what would it be and why?
Good question. My mentor, Rashad Norris. He's been my mentor since the 8th grade. Still from this day, he is in my life and by my side, having real conversations with me. And it's powerful because just 9 months ago, a month after the divorce, I went to go speak at a school that he invited me to come speak at to these kids. And after we were done speaking, he said, Josias, you got to start taking care of you. There's no reason why you're doing all this impact work if you're neglecting self. And that was a wake up call for me because I used to get so busy to avoid self that I didn't realize how self important that I was. I didn't realize how important self was. And I was running on E, hoping that I was on F or full tank. And people started realizing that, look, just something's wrong with Josias. But I didn't realize it because I was so blind to it. And one thing he said was, Josias, if you don't start taking care of you, what you're doing has no imprint. You gotta be able to practice what you preach because if you live it out and you walk it out, then people will take it serious from what you're saying. So please go take care of you because ministry, before you start doing ministry, you have to start working within. So he said the ministry, the first two letters is men, but take away the last, for the second and third letter, that's in. Before you could do ministry, you have to do in ministry within yourself first, which means taking care of you, which means not neglecting you, not neglecting who you are, and walk into the fullness of who you are. Because if you're not healthy, then you're causing poison to everybody else, and that stuck with me so much because of the fact that I was a good neglector of self. I was a professional neglecter of self. I was a professional avoiding the issues, a professional of avoiding to talk about whatever is bothering me. But I was able to be there for everybody else. But I didn't want to be vulnerable for people to be there for me. And when he told me that, that was a light bulb. And I woke up as if it was in a whole new world. I woke up and was like, wow, if I don't take care of me, what I do in this world has no imprint, how I have no impact because I'm not walking what I'm talking. So now it's time for me to walk it out and not just talk it out.
Yeah, I love it, man. Do you say affirmations to yourself as you were sharing what your mentor talked about? Do you believe in affirmations or thoughts that you say to yourself on a daily basis? And I'm curious what you would say. Someone's listening might be, man, what's 1, 2, or 3 of his favorite affirmations he's able to tell himself to keep him on track so he can achieve his goals?
Yeah, my affirmation to myself is this: I am beautifully and wonderfully made. I was born on purpose, for a purpose, and with a purpose. And greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. And I use biblical affirmations to speak over myself because, I'm a man of faith. And the God who put us together is a God who spoke things to existence. And I was thinking like this, Shay. Everything that God spoke in the atmosphere, everything he created in the atmosphere, he spoke into existence. But when it came to mankind, he got his hands dirty because we're creating his image and his likeness. And for me, I say, you know what, God, you know who I am. You know me. You know me more than I know myself. So therefore, I'm going to proclaim your word, proclaim what you say about me, and start saying over myself over and over again to a point where it becomes a deep conviction for me to run after it. So I tell myself, I am beautifully, wonderfully made. I am not an accident. I was born on purpose, for a purpose, and with a purpose. I am a change maker. And what happened to me is not for me, but for somebody else down the road to see how I made it through. And I am somebody of value. I am somebody of potential. I am somebody who has a vision, because without vision, people will perish. I am somebody who has an imprint and who is designed for purpose, connected to purpose, who's going to push others to walk into their own purpose. And these are affirmations I tell myself every single day, to the point where if hurdles do come my way, I don't get swayed left and right. I'm just neutral position, not shaken by the waves, because those affirmations became a deep conviction in my soul that makes me stand solid even in difficult times.
Spot on, man. I love it. I love your enthusiasm. I love your openness, your honesty. What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world and making a difference for everybody else?
Man, what I do for fun is I go watch sports. So I got mentees who play basketball, high school sports. I go to the gun range and I like to release some steam down the range at the gun range. I like to go on hikes, go on walks, do activities, play a game of dominoes. So I'm doing for fun. I'm just a relaxed person, go with the flow type of person. And if I'm not at the gun range, I'm watching the game. If I'm not watching the game, I am at home playing dominoes. Am I playing dominoes? I'm asleep.
I love it, man. As we come down the home stretch, 2-part question. Number 1, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number 2, how can folks best connect with you so they can stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
Yeah. First, you can find me on Instagram, Coach COACHWITH_Josias JOSIAS. You can also email me, Josias Jean-Pierre @gmail.com. So it's JOSIASJEANPIERRE @gmail.com. And if you are at a place where you're stagnant with your goals, your vision, and you need some fuel to get back up or some tips to get back up and keep on running the race, reach out to me. If you feel like, man, I have no fuel, no desire to keep on going after anything, I don't see nothing at all, remember this: the last thing to grow on a tree is the fruit. So it's your job to keep planting seeds. And if you want to be held accountable to your goals and your dreams and get some tips on how to excel and exceed into your goals and your dreams, send me an email.
Man, let me say thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Got to have you back again soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, we don't have a show. So I'm appreciative. We read every comment. We respond to every comment. But if you're on one of the platforms, you can hit that share button. Like, you can just hit that button and pay this message forward to someone else. Please do that, by the way. Please do that. And I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you, as you're watching, you're really special. You're a unique person. There's no hyperbole here. This is the truth, that you've got something inside you that right now, no matter what you're going through, whether life is doing really, really well for you and there's another level to get to, as you talk about reaching your dream, or you've been hit with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I know to be true is that today is your January 1st. Because of just that one reason, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name ain't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless. Wish you success. Talk so long. Peace.